The chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with cold, calculated silence. Representatives of the 12 dominant species stood in holographic array, their alien faces unreadable to human eyes. The topic of discussion? The eradication of humanity. "We have allowed them to spread unchecked for too long," hissed the 𝗦𝗁 delegate, their serpentine tongue flickering between needle-sharp teeth. "They adapt too quickly. They innovate beyond containment. If we do not act now, they will surpass us all." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. Only one voice dared dissent. The 𝗕𝗲𝘀, a minor species known for their empathy. "This is madness. They have done nothing to warrant extermination." The 𝗦𝗁's response was a derisive click. "They are emotional, unpredictable, a plague. The vote is already cast." And so it was. The trap was set with precision. A summit of peace, an offer of alliance. Humanity, ever hopeful, sent their best diplomats. The moment the human delegation stepped onto the neutral station, the airlock sealed. No warning, no grand speeches. Just the silent release of a bioengineered plague, tailored to human DNA. The humans collapsed within minutes, blood seeping from their eyes as their organs liquefied. The last surviving envoy, a woman named 𝗕𝗲𝘀, dragged herself to a calm terminal. Her transmission was short, her voice a ragged whisper. Remember this day. You chose war. Then she died. Earth received the news in stunned silence. Then came the rage. Then the terrifying calm. The council, meanwhile, celebrated. The 𝗦𝗁 broadcasted their victory across the galaxy. Humanity is broken. Their worlds will fall within cycles. They did not hear the whispers in the dark. They did not see the shadows moving in the void. But they would. A single message pulsed through every comm channel, uncoded, undeniable. Galactic Council. You have 24 hours to evacuate your homeworlds. This is your only warning. The council laughed. They shouldn't have. The message burned across every screen, every comm channel, every frequency in the galaxy. No encryption, no negotiation, just cold, unflinching finality. Galactic Council. You have 24 hours to evacuate your homeworlds. This is your only warning. Silence followed. Then laughter. The 𝗦𝗁 High Command dismissed it as desperation. Pathetic, their supreme archon sneered, mandibles twitching in amusement. They have no fleet, no weapons, no means to strike. This is the scream of a dying animal. But not all were so sure. The 𝗕𝗲𝘀 scientist Lauren had studied humans, had seen their history, had watched them rise from mud and blood to the stars, not through brute force, but through something far more dangerous. Adaptation. She accessed the restricted archives, pulling records of human wars. Not the grand battles, but the aftermath. The broken cities. The scorched earth. The quiet, terrible inventions birthed in desperation. Her blood ran cold. "They don't fight to conquer," she whispered. "They fight to end wars." Meanwhile, Earth mobilized. Not in panic. Not in chaos. In perfect, terrifying unison. Deep in the asteroid belts, dormant ships flickered to life. Not warships. Not troop carriers. Sleek, black vessels with no markings, no signatures, built in secret over decades. The Ragnarok Protocol, humanity's last resort. Aboard the command vessel, General 𝗕𝗲𝘀, sister to the murdered admiral, watched the timer tick down. "Are we monsters?" a young lieutenant asked, voice trembling. Vera didn't blink. "No. We gave them a choice." Across the galaxy, panic began to spread. Minor species recalled human proverbs, "Speak softly but carry a big stick." Humans had never spoken softly. And now, they were raising something far worse than a stick. The Council's allies hesitated. Their scouts reported nothing, no fleets, no weapons, no movement. Just silence. Too late, the 𝗦𝗁 realized their mistake. Humans didn't need fleets. They needed one shot. The timer hit 0. A single black ship appeared above the 𝗦𝗁 homeworld. No fanfare. No warning. Just a warhead, detonating silently in the upper atmosphere. Then darkness. Every light on the planet winked out. Every machine died. Every ship in orbit tumbled, powerless. The 𝗦𝗁 stared at their dead sky in horror. Humanity's message repeated, this time with new weight. Asterisk run. Asterisk. Silence. Not the quiet of peace, but the suffocating stillness before the storm breaks. The 𝗦𝗁 homeworld hung in darkness, its cities frozen under a dead sky. No power. No comms. No escape. The warhead hadn't brought fire or destruction, just an endless, screaming void where technology should have been. Then the whispers started. First from the outer colonies. Then the trade hubs. Then the military outposts. Human ships. Not the lumbering dreadnoughts the Council expected. Not the crude, jury-rigged vessels of a desperate species. Sleek. Silent. Unseen until they wanted to be seen. They moved like ghosts. A 𝗕𝗲𝘀 listening post caught the first glimpse, a blur of black against the stars, gone before targeting locks could engage. A 𝗕𝗲𝘀 supply depot went dark mid-transmission, its last garbled message just 2 words. Asterisk they're here. Asterisk. The Council scrambled. Fleets were recalled. Defenses raised. Panic spread like a virus. Too late. The second wave struck not with brute force, but precision. A single shot to the 𝗦𝗁 shipyards, reducing their pride to molten slag. A pulse over the 𝗕𝗲𝘀 homeworld, frying every unshielded circuit. No invasion. No occupation. Just a surgical dismantling of everything that made them a power. The message was clear. Asterisk you do not get to fight.
You do not get to resist.
You only get to burn. Asterisk. On the bridge of the retribution, Vera watched the feeds with cold satisfaction. They still don't understand, she murmured. Beside her, the 𝗕𝗀𝘀 scientist Lauren, now a reluctant advisor, shivered. What don't they understand? Vera turned. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. That we learned from them. The truth unfolded in horrific clarity. The bioweapon that had slaughtered the human diplomats? Reverse-engineered within hours. The Council's own stealth tech? Improved. Their weapons? Refined. Humanity hadn't just matched the galaxy's advancements. They'd perfected them. And now they wielded them with a ruthlessness the Council had never dreamed possible. One by one, the great powers fell. Not to overwhelming force, but to something far worse, irrelevance. The 𝗦𝗁, stranded on their dead world. The 𝗕𝗲𝘀, their fleets adrift in the void. The others, scrambling to surrender before the darkness reached them too. Only then did the final transmission crackle across the stars, Vera's voice calm as a grave. Asterisk, you were warned. Asterisk. Somewhere in the ruins of his palace, the 𝗦𝗁 Archon finally understood. They hadn't been fighting a war. They'd been given an execution. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the quiet of a graveyard. Planets floated in darkness, their great cities reduced to tombs. Fleets drifted powerless in the void, their crews slowly suffocating as life support failed. The Galactic Council's grand empire had collapsed in hours, not through brute force, but through something far more terrifying, precision. Humanity didn't gloat. They didn't broadcast triumphant speeches or parade their victories. They simply watched, their black ships lingering at the edges of dead systems like specters. Waiting. The surviving Council members huddled in their last fortified stronghold, their once proud voices now hushed with fear. The 𝗦𝗁 Archon's mandibles twitched erratically as he stared at the star maps, each flickering red marker another world lost. They didn't even land, the 𝗕𝗲𝘀 representative whispered. They just turned off the lights and walked away. A 𝗕𝗀𝘀 delegate, one who had voted against humanity's extermination, slowly stood. We need to surrender. Fully. Unconditionally. The Archon's laugh was hollow. To what? They haven't even asked for our surrender. They're just waiting. That was the worst part. Humanity wasn't conquering.
They weren't occupying.
They were erasing. Not the people, the power. Every shipyard, every comm hub, every scrap of infrastructure that had made the Council a threat was gone, reduced to memories and ash. And still, the humans didn't speak. Until they did. The transmission was short. No visuals. Just a voice, Vera's voice, calm and clear. Asterisk, the war is over. You lost. These are our terms. Asterisk, there were no terms. Just rules. No more councils. No more empires. No more laws imposed on humanity by outsiders. Any species could govern themselves as they saw fit, but so would humans. And if any race so much as looked at Earth with hostile intent again, the darkness would return. Permanently. The Archon slumped in his chair. They won't even let us die with honor, he muttered. The Krix delegate shook her head.
No.
They're letting us live. That's worse. Because humanity wasn't just punishing them. They were teaching them, forcing the galaxy to understand the one truth they'd forgotten in their arrogance. Some creatures, when cornered, don't fight. They end you. As the last Council stronghold powered down its weapons, a final message flickered across every remaining screen in the galaxy. Just one word, burning in the dark like a promise. Asterisk, remember. Asterisk. And the stars at last fell silent. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in millennia, no empire dictated terms. No fleets patrolled trade lanes with weapons hot. The silence wasn't peace. It was the quiet of a predator's domain after the kill. On the ruined Velnor homeworld, scavengers picked through dead cities where once great towers stood as hollow tombs. The Archon walked among his people now, his ornate robes replaced by rags, his mandibles cracked from dehydration. No one bowed. No one cared. A child threw a rock at him. He didn't flinch. Above them, the sky remained empty. No ships came. No aid. Just the endless stars, watching. The Krix scientist Lauren found Vera on the bridge of the Retribution, staring at the holographic remains of the galactic map. You could rule them, she said. Vera didn't turn. We don't want slaves. Then what do you want? To be left alone. The simplicity of it struck like a knife. All this death. All this fire. Not for conquest. Not for glory. Just a door slammed shut with finality. On 100 worlds, the lesson sank in. Human trade ships appeared at neutral ports, their crews polite but distant. No threats. No boasts. Just business. When drunken Terrell youths threw bottles at a human merchant, their own elders dragged them away in terror before the humans even reacted. The message was clearer than any broadcast. Asterisk, we don't need to punish you. You'll punish yourselves for us. Asterisk. Years passed. The old galactic power structures crumbled. New ones rose in their place, smaller, quieter, with nervous glances toward the dark between stars. On Earth, children learned about the war in history classes between lessons on mathematics and art. A human poet won the Orion Star Prize for a single haiku. Dead empires whisper. We turn our backs to the dark. The stars burn brighter. When asked what it meant, she shrugged. Nothing lasts forever. In the ruins of the Council's great hall, now overgrown with alien moss, the last Velnor Archon died alone. His final words were carved into the wall with broken claws. We should have run. And somewhere in the endless night, a single black ship powered down its weapons and went home. The black ships never returned. Decades bled into centuries. The galaxy rebuilt itself around humanity's absence, like vines growing over a tombstone. New alliances formed, careful not to mention Earth in their charters. Trade routes bent around human space, as if navigating a singularity's event horizon. On the edge of what was once Council territory, a historian from a species that hadn't even achieved spaceflight during the war uncovered a fragment of the original transmission. The warning. The final ultimatum. They really only said it once, the young scholar marveled, tracing the ancient characters with delicate appendages. Her mentor, a grizzled Terrell who remembered the silence, didn't look up from his work. That's all they ever needed to say. Human artifacts became myth. A child's toy left on a trading post. a medical scanner in some backwater clinic that still functions centuries later. Simple things. Useful things. Left behind like shed skin. The poet's haiku became scripture for some, a warning for others. New religions rose worshipping the absent ones, their priests preaching that humanity had transcended to some higher plane. They hadn't. Earth still turned in its cradle of stars, brighter now, ringed with impossible structures that pulsed with quiet energy. Ships still came and went, but never far, never for long. A delegation from the newly formed Galactic Concord dared approach the Sol system's boundary. Their ship was met not by weapons, but by a single drone bearing a message older than their civilization. "You're not welcome here." They left. Generations passed. The wounds scarred over. The fear faded to caution, then to legend, then to half-remembered stories told to frighten children. Until the day the scourge came. A devouring swarm from beyond the galactic rim, consuming worlds faster than they could be evacuated. The Concord's fleet shattered against the tide of chitin and teeth. As the first scourge tendrils reached what had once been Velner space, every active screen in the galaxy flickered to life simultaneously. The image showed a human face, young, calm, utterly terrifying in its familiarity to long-buried archives. She spoke 3 words. Asterisk, we see you. Asterisk. And from the darkness between stars, the black ships woke. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the black ships emerged from the void. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. Sleek obsidian vessels untouched by time, their weapons humming with energy no living scientist could comprehend. The scourge didn't hesitate. It descended upon the nearest human ship in a writhing mass of razor limbs and acid spitters, only to disintegrate mid-charge. No flash. No explosion. Just cessation. One by one, the human ships activated, each waking with the terrible patience of mountains remembering they could move. The scourge swarm reacted as living things do when faced with the impossible. It recoiled. Then the harvest began. Human weapons didn't burn or blast. They unraveled. Scourge bioships came apart at molecular seams, their monstrous crews spilling into vacuum as screaming frozen statues. The black ships moved methodically, surgically, erasing the invasion tendril by tendril with chilling efficiency. On the Concord flagship, the Teriel Admiral watched tactical displays go dark in perfect concentric circles radiating outward from human space. "They're not defending us," she whispered. "They're protecting their borders." A young, calm officer stared at the view screen where human vessels ignored crippled Concord ships drifting helplessly through battle zones. Then why appear at all? The answer came when the last Scourge bioship near former Council space dissolved into cosmic dust. Every functioning display in the galaxy lit up with the same message, 2 words in clean, unadorned text. "Stay out." Then the black ships turned as one and vanished back into the dark. No demands. No negotiations. Just a line drawn in blood and vacuum that even the devouring swarm hadn't crossed twice. The Concord's leaders debated for weeks before sending their fastest courier towards Sol system bearing gifts of gratitude. The ship returned untouched, its cargo holds unopened, with a single new character burned into its hull. Centuries later, scholars would still argue what it meant. A checkmark? A mathematical symbol? A warning? The old Teriel Admiral, when asked on her deathbed, simply chuckled. "It means receive, nothing more, nothing less." And in the quiet between stars, humanity kept watching, waiting, unmoved.